My name is Kevin Strohmeyer. I lead the marketing team for the Tanzu division of Broadcom, and I am joined by Deshaun. I'll let you introduce yourself.
My name is Deshaun. I'm a Spring developer advocate. I love my job, and I'm jazzed to be here. I love this product. So that's the thing. You're not going to get like a presentation about like, hey, here's a new feature that we did. I'm going to give you a little bit of the story about how I fell in love with Spring Boot as a start, then Cloud Foundry, and tell you all the reasons I love this platform. And I've been a customer not just once, but twice. And being a customer is what brought me here. So I'm happy to be here. Fantastic.
All right. And thank you. I love, obviously, a very highly intelligent audience here this morning that chose to fly with us this morning. We know you have a choice, where you get to do your sessions, and we're happy that you did it with us.
We're competing with some good sessions.
Yeah,
so I understand, but this is awesome. I'm glad that you're here.
All right. So to kick things off a little bit, if you haven't sort of seen the story, it's really kind of what is driving the Tanzu division, over the next years. At the end of the day, AI apps are microservices-based apps that are consuming lots of services and that need more integrations than ever. And all those headaches, right, are the same headaches that we've been solving for the past 10 years. So there's new application patterns, all kinds of new things that we've had to, develop and learn, and as we learn with our customers. But at the end of the day, all right, we have a proven technology here that is enabling our customers to be able to go experiment and do incredible things with AI.
Yeah. And a question, how many people are doing AI? There are 0 hands, a couple of hands that are halfway raised, maybe a few. For the audience, how many of you are, would you say, app side? I'm creating code, I'm delivering code. All right, and how many of you are platform side? And some of us raised our hands for both, right? That makes sense. I think I fit into that bucket as well. Thanks. That'll just help us kind of like decide where we want to touch on. Fantastic.
All right.
We got a nice mix.
Yeah. So the next piece is just, you say you're a PaaS. What does that mean, right? It's a industry term that's been going around for years. What really differentiates us, right, is when we think about all the different types of portability, right? Is it a container? Is it, to us, the portability is the code. At the end of the day, we're going to take that code, we're going to put it into our platform, then the rest is automated.
It's right? The code. That's the commodity. That's the artifact. That's the thing that we're moving around. And we have different ways. There's no customer, there's no enterprise that I've ever dealt with that is all in on mainframe. That's all in on bare metal something, all in on VMs. Most companies have a little bit of everything. PaaS is kind of the in my eyes, the top of the stack. You kind of bare metal, your virtualization, your infrastructure as a service, your containers as a service, and then PaaS. PaaS here is the one where, as a developer, I have to worry about the least. The platform takes care of the most for me. And then as you go down the stack, you go down to bare metal or mainframe. Yeah, you've got the most things that you have to negotiate with, that you have to turn knobs on. So this is why, as a developer, I crave the PaaS experience. You know what I don't have to do? I don't have to do a lot of YAML. I don't have to do a lot of tickets in order to get things to production. So this is why I like that. As a developer, as a platform owner, that's less of the conversations that you have to have with your developers handling the apps. So yeah, there's levels to this whole thing.
Right. So just a quick introduction, what is the Tanzu platform? First, right, it's built on this incredible elastic runtime from the Cloud Foundry technology, developed by VMware, then Pivotal, again, over 10 years ago now. It is scalable. It is battle tested, right? We have customers running, thousands and thousands of application instances on the platform today. It continues to grow and continues to evolve and change over time as well. So on top of that, we have a set of services that we're going to go into in a little bit more detail, so I won't steal all the thunder now. But also know that we are going to talk a lot about Spring.
But it's not just Spring. It is a polyglot platform. So we'll show you, we've got build packs for lots of languages. But the nice thing about being a Spring developer, Tanzu Platform is the best place to run Spring workloads, and we'll show you a little bit about what that means. The other part, the elastic runtime. One of the problems that I had, bare metal, I was working on a large enterprise software, and there was one side of the house, I'm going to split this room in two. There was one side of the house, our traffic was busy on the weekends. Our users were using our products on the weekends. They'd go out for their runs, they'd go for their bike rides, and that's when our products were active. We had millions of users around the globe. The other side of the house, the other big enterprise software inside of the company was the e-commerce platform, the business-to-business platform. So we had two parts of the house. The problem that I saw was that one side of the house, we had this much hardware. We had this much hardware for the busy time during the week to handle that traffic. On the other side of the house, we had this much hardware for the busy traffic on the weekend. But you know what was a problem? During the week, this side of the house, their infrastructure wasn't being used. This side of the house, during the week or during the weekend, theirs wasn't being used. We had this high watermark that was doing this, but we had scaled up both sides of the house. Cloud Foundry gives us the ability to deliver all of those workloads, share that infrastructure. If you're ever, this is more for the operator side, if you've ever been concerned about, hey, we've got all this infrastructure that's not being used, one of the things that Cloud Foundry really does, as somebody who's been a VP of engineering, it gives me that density. I'm not wasting a lot of space. I'm not wasting a lot of infrastructure. And I've had our customers say, hey, you know what? I don't care if my CPU average utilization is at 30% year round. All I care about is I don't go down. I'm fine with having a bunch of extra space. I'm fine with having a bunch of extra resources as long as I don't go down. And that's one of the other values of having this elastic runtime is the stability, the ability to scale as our workloads grow and shrink.
Yeah. So then, again, how many of you have heard of CF push? Right. So a few of you out there, and this is the feedback we constantly sort of hear from our customers. Right. It's a pretty magical experience, and that is the heart of this developer experience that we're going to be describing here today. When I think of all the things that consume a developer's time, the more time they're thinking about their users, their business application, their logic, right, their workflows, right, the better. And that's really what we're giving to them, right, with the power of the platform here. But also the ability to sort of code and test and be able to leverage the same dependencies and services that they would be using in production in their development environment, right? Having that platter or that menu of all the different services that they have access to that they know are going to work when it comes to production time, pull those right in, right?
Yeah, the CF push experience was kind of eye-opening for me. And I've told this story 1,000 times. It's like the idea of, I just had to get something to production. You've dealt with it, the tickets. The one thing that was the hardest to get for me was the F5 routes to our infrastructure. That was a pain. Then the SSL certificates and getting those renewed, having to do all of that work, having a ticket for the cert, the F5 routes, a little bit of storage, a VM over here, all of that compared to the CF push experience, it changed me. It changed me deep in my heart. It changed me. And I remember I was sitting front row when I first did it. The demo, just like I'm going to show you, they had a Spring Music demo and they said, hey, everybody in the room, open up your laptops. We're going to do this CF push. We're going to give you access to this platform. You're going to CF push. Everybody else in the room used the Spring Music demo. But me being me, I grabbed the application that I was working on upstairs. I know this is a demo, but I wanted to see it work with my code. I wasn't going to believe the demonstration. Yeah, of course, yours works for the stuff that you already planned, but what if I do it with my code? And I remember sitting in the front row thinking, hey, this is great. I'm going to use my code. It's not going to work. I don't trust these guys. But I was using a Spring Boot app. Spring Boot had just kind of come around, and I saw this, and I did a CF push. Along with a room, it was about 300 people. I did this CF push, and it was successful. And I looked around, and I was like, well, it's probably because I'm in the VPN at the company. So they probably did something special. So I grabbed out my phone. And I looked, and my phone wasn't on the VPN. It was public. And this app that I had been working on upstairs was now available outside. And I was like, how did they do this? How did they get the F5? How did they get the SSL certificates? It was secured. It was on my phone. I knew this was available to the rest of the world. All of that had been taken care of because I was in a PaaS. All of that had been taken care of for me. And I remember standing up from right about where you are, standing up and turning around and guys, this is live. With my app that I was working on upstairs, that I hadn't gotten the tickets. I hadn't done the SSL certs. I hadn't done the F5 routes yet, but I already had it working. My mind was blown. You're going to see that here in a minute.
All right. So that same description point of this is that you may have been learning more about VCF 9 this week, and we map right on top of a lot of the same new constructs that you're hearing about organizations, right? The ability to separate regions, to be able to manage across regions, to be able to manage all these new workload concepts within VCF 9. We can map right to those with our foundations, again, as part of our elastic runtime, and provide all the same services that we have in the past.
As a developer, to be honest, I don't care about all that. Get my app up and running. I want to do a git commit. I want my pipelines to take in production. And those are kind of operator side concerns. But I love being able to sleep at night. I love knowing that my app is taken care of. I love knowing that my platform will take care of my app. And you're going to see a little bit more of that too.
And he's always just the perfect segue of what it takes for you to sleep at night. Think about all those dependencies within the code, and who has to worry about those, right? One of the, again, magic things of that CF push operation is that we are building that entire container image on the fly as part of that push with all of the dependencies that are standardized, right, for your organization. We don't patch. You don't patch anything. Right? We keep all these standards updated every time you do a new CF push, every time you do a new restage, right? Pushing the right bits into those containers and flowing right through the system.
Here's one of the problems. I like to say, I'm going to call you guys my friends. Friends don't let friends use Dockerfile. How many people have to write their own Dockerfile? None, a couple hands, right? Now, you realize when you write a Dockerfile, you've got to maintain that Dockerfile. Right? I've been in that seat. I've been in that seat where I was trying to run a team. I was trying to take care of some of that overhead. I wanted to create the Docker files. I had my nice golden image. I had my base OS that I was going to take care of, and I was going to build it. I was going to optimize it for the types of workloads that we had. We had a little bit of Node.js. We had a little bit of Spring Boot. I was building these Docker files to run these workloads, but it was a lot of overhead. It was a lot of my time taking care of those Docker files because I don't know if you know this, but there's new CVEs coming out all day. So every time a new CVE came out, I'm trying to do a startup here, and it's in the financial tech space. I wanted to make sure that things were staying secure. I'm not going to risk this opportunity that I had. So every time a new CVE came out, what did I have to do? I had to update my Docker file. And as our application footprint got bigger, I had to update more and more Docker files, right? I had to do one for every app. And that became almost like a continuous running machine, where I'm just doing these pipelines of updating Docker files. And I found myself creating automation to rewrite these Docker files for these hundreds of apps that we were building. A lot of time. The other thing that Cloud Foundry does, the Tanzu Platform does, is it takes care of that for us. We don't have to write Docker files. The build packs are delivering the same thing that a Docker file would deliver. It's building an OCI compliant image. It's building a container that can run on that runtime, and it can scale. It's a container. But I didn't have to create the container. The platform provided that for me.
All right. And as part of the platform itself, we deliver a bunch of services. Now, we started in the beginning saying that this is not just a PaaS for Spring, right? So for any framework, right, that the build service that we just talked about, part of our build packs, the ability to do automated service bind, so all those other external dependencies, APIs, the ability to, on demand invoke a new Postgres database, right? Attach it to your application. All those things are, services available as part of the platform. When we do a binding, right, we take care of the credentials. All those credentials are centralized. There's never a hard credential in the code, right? You don't have to go do that work later. You don't have to, think about how you're going to meet compliance later. It's already set up for you, from the beginning.
How many of you have ever had an email from the CISO, from your security team? How many of you have had an email saying, hey, you've got a CVE to patch? How many of you had an email saying, hey, here's the credentials for this new service? Does that make you nervous? Here's the thing. One time I was in an airport. And I'm walking, I got my bag, and a lady came over and she threw me a baby. I dropped my bag, I caught the baby. Somebody came and grabbed my bag and took off running. The moral of the story is somebody throws you a baby, just bat it down. Hold on to your bag, just bat the baby down. Same thing goes if somebody tries to hand you credentials or something in production. Somebody tries to hand you credentials. just bat it down. You don't want those credentials. You don't want that responsibility. The thing that the platform takes care of is holding on to your bags. It's handling the credentials. It's doing all of that, not just creating the credentials, but it rotates the credentials for you. Right? So you don't ever have to touch credentials. And that's great. Fantastic.
Now, if we go one step forward, and for the 70% of enterprise applications out there, they're likely running Spring. We do some more things in the platform.
All sorts of things. Observability. There's a bunch of glue. Should we jump into the demo, or do we want to?
Yeah, I was going to say, at some point, let's just show them the goods here.
This is fantastic. We can come back. Let's do this. I'm going to start, and I'm going to add. When you come to my house for dinner, if you leave hungry, that's your fault. Right? I'm going to feed you. Here, we got a small room. Right? We're friendly here. This is a safe space. If you've got questions at any time, raise your hand. Ask your questions because, yeah. Yeah, the question is, Tanzu Platform, what does that mean? The naming. Compared to VCF and VKS, what does that mean? VKS is a PaaS. It's Kubernetes platform. So in our earlier picture, it's kind of one layer down. It's going to take care of a lot of things, containerized orchestration, but it's still one layer. You still have to build on top of a Kubernetes platform in order to get that PaaS experience. So we're talking about a PaaS. That's a great question. Did that handle? Yeah. Yes. So there's kind of two sides, two ways to look at it. The thing that we want you to know is that this PaaS plays really, really nicely with all the other things that you're doing in VCF. And I'll add that Tanzu Platform also plays really nice with whatever cloud you're in. So it is a multi-cloud platform. And what that means is you get that same API, that same consistency. How many of you are multi-cloud or hybrid cloud? You're deploying to more than one space, maybe even more than one region around the world. The thing that Tanzu Platform provides is even if I'm in cloud A, I'm in cloud B, the way that I'm delivering my apps, it's still a CF push. The API that I'm delivering is still the same no matter where the cloud is running, no matter where my platform is running. And that's beneficial, especially as a developer. Yeah.
Because I have worked VCF, Tanzu, because I have some tonight that cannot overlap.
That I'm going to tell you VCF integrates with Tanzu. Tanzu is the higher level abstraction for apps and data deployment. Does that make sense? Should we go back to the picture? I want to make sure that everybody understands. So I'll do this. Tanzu Platform can run in a small footprint. So it doesn't have to take over your whole VCF. We're here talking about AI. That's pretty popular. If you wanted to get started with AI, we got a small box. In my house, I have one machine, a Nook size machine. It's got 96 gigs of RAM. It's got 24 cores. But in that small one box with an SSD, I can run Tanzu Platform on top of vSphere. You can, of course, scale it up, run it in VCF, run it across all your data centers, and there's nice integration across all of your data centers. But there's a different experience when you're deploying to Tanzu Platform than when you're deploying to Kubernetes or when you're deploying VMs. There's less of the concerns. There's less headache. The routing, the ingress controllers, all of that's taken care of by the platform. You're not deploying ingress controllers. You're not deploying your own log collectors. You can connect to any log collector that you want. You connect to external metrics collectors as well. But it's kind of a more stuff in the box. Does that help? You have more questions. I'm going to try to show you a little bit of the difference in the experience. So let's do this. We're going to go, yeah. Yes. Well, that's a really good question. I think, can I talk about the appliance?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have an appliance that, I don't know if it's ready yet, but we have an appliance that's, hey, deploy this OVA and you get a Tanzu Platform experience. But typically, Tanzu Platform runs on a CPI, a cloud platform provider. Like it has that abstraction layer. That's what allows us to run in Google, in AWS, in Azure, and on top of VCF. So that's the benefit. So I can plug it, I can deploy it anywhere, but it's not a specific OVA, a specific deployment. And one of the other things that it does with that layer of integrating with whatever platform you're running on, it'll stand up VMs. So when we would decide to add tools, add tiles, we want to add Postgres capabilities. When I create a new service, it'll actually deploy VMs. It has all of the interface to that underlying infrastructure. So let's jump in.
Awesome.
Those are fantastic questions. And for a good level set. So clearly we have some people that haven't heard about Tanzu Platform, this PaaS that we're doing. So I'm happy. I even have goosebumps that I get to introduce you to this. So here's what I've got. This is kind of the interface. As a developer, this is the rest of my team. We've got spaces. So we are able to deploy in this environment, and we're also isolated. So we can kind of see, I've got my permissions. I can see everybody else's applications, but this is me. I'm Deshaun. I've got an app that's down. Let's go fix that. Let's go build an app real quick. I'm going to start.spring.io. I'm going to build an app. I'm going to use Java 21. I'm going to add a couple of things. Let's do Actuator. I'm going to do the simplest app that I can that will deploy something that we can actually go and hit some metrics. Let's generate that. I'm a developer. I have an idea. Let's build it. Let's replace that. It is 9:21. All I've been given is credentials to log in. Let's go and, hello. Let's unzip that app. Overwrite what was there. Go into demo. And then here's my app. Here's my code that I just generated. It's the same code that was here. We can go and look. It's nothing fancy. It's a Spring Boot app. But the same thing would work if you're a Python developer, if you're a .NET developer. Now I'm going to show you this build packs. I don't have to do anything to get this to production. I've got a set of build packs, and this is kind of hard to read. I'll do it like this. I've got a set of build packs that are already deployed for me. This is part of the menu. These are the things that are supported in production. So if you've got Python developers, you've got Java developers, which if you're an operator, you do. I work with teams doing all sorts of languages, but here we can see we've got Ruby that's supported, just Nginx. You've got HTTP apps, Node apps. I can deploy static binaries. So I can deploy Application Advisor. I can deploy apps that are delivered as binaries. I can do that as well. I've got Go, I've got R, I've got Python, I've got, yeah, you guys know that one. I've got .NET, web servers, and of course Java and native images. So I have all these things. Think of it as like, if you've got a golden Docker file, that's great. But again, we don't want all of that machinery in order to update Docker files. What I get to do here, because I have those build packs that are supported, and I'm going to show, actually you'll see it. If I do cf push, we're going to call it demo to overwrite the previous one. And I think that's all I need. So it says, hey, let's go push this demo. And I think what we're going to see, it's uploading my source code to the platform. From there, it's going to do its things. It says, hey, here's all of the build packs. There's a process here. I can have all of those build packs deployed. But as a developer, I didn't have to say, oh, I'm deploying Java, I'm deploying Python. It'll actually go through and it'll inspect the code that we're uploading, and it'll say, I see that you're using .NET. Let me build the .NET parts. I see that you're using Java. Let me build the Java parts. And you can even have multiple build packs operating on the same source code. If I've got something that has like a Node.js app embedded or a web app embedded into a Java app, I can do that. I can combine build packs. That's another value. You can't do that really easily with Docker files, right? Especially if you're trying to do that golden image. Here's my Java golden image, and then it's got a Node.js component. Then you have a bunch of one-off Docker files, right? For those snowflakes that are combining applications. And I can deploy more than one app. So this is powerful stuff. So all it's doing is uploading. And there's a trade-off here, right? I'm letting the platform take care of this. Again, I don't have a Docker file, but now that image is also taken care of in the platform. I don't have to stand up a bunch of registries. All of that information, the source code is the artifact, and the platform takes care of that image. And that's nice. So we're up, it's standing up. It did all the work. But in that, it also, for the Java one, the Java build pack has been kind of the mainstay, the heavy hitter. We're doing this with companies all over the world, and a lot of companies want kind of that best performance. How many times have you looked at your Docker file and said, hey, I could optimize this? The build packs that are on our platform, they've been optimized for 10 plus years by some of the biggest companies around the world. So the optimizations that are in the Java build pack are the best, especially if you're using Spring, because Spring is optimized for the build pack. So there's things in that combination that gives you the best performance. I was at a conference a couple weeks ago. We can go here, CF apps. And there was a software engineer, and he would call himself a DevOps engineer, and he had all the AWS certifications. And he was like, what about my custom Docker file? And it had all these optimizations. And in this workshop that had a few hundred people, I said, well, let's take a look. Let's build this little Spring Boot app, this little Hello World app from the initializer. Let's show it with your application, and then let's do it with a build pack. And let's just kind of look at the memory. I think I can do apps. Let's go over here. Let's go and look in the platform. Hit refresh. I just said, hey, let's build it. And we just did it side by side, just with something off the board. And we kind of saw a significant difference in the amount of memory that it was using because of the optimizations that are in the build pack. It actually looks at your source code, not just, hey, I'm using Java. It looks at the code, it looks how you're using it, and it will help size your container. So it gives you the right size container out of the box. Uh-oh. So here, I got a 1 gigabyte container. That's fantastic. I got right size. If you're doing the golden image Docker thing, you kind of have a best guess. We'll give them 2, maybe we'll give them 4. How do you get the right size for all of your applications if you're delivering Docker files? Sizing those images is really important, right? You don't want to give all of your images 4 gigs or all of your images 8 gigs because those are reservations, right? So there's a lot of things here. But as a developer, why I love this is I don't care. I'm writing my apps, I'm pushing it to the platform, and the platform knows how to size it the right way. But let's say that the platform didn't figure it out. I can still modify that application in the platform. I can go in here to my settings. I get all of this. Let's bump that up. I get all of this beautiful information about this app that I just created. I did it at 9/21, and right now we're in production. Remember that? Remember my once in a lifetime, like, oh, this changed my life? You can go hit this URL, and don't worry, because I didn't add any code. I just added this actuator, and I can see that, hey, my app is up and running. This is fantastic. But this URL, if you've got your phone, I want you to grab this URL, demo.apps, Taz. This is not like a, hey, I'm just here. This is real. This is in production. And I can go and do another one. I can do the same thing. I can change the name, and it'll automatically change the route. I can give it additional routes. All of that. I didn't have to do a Docker file. I didn't have to open any tickets. So as a developer, this is the experience that I crave. We haven't even gotten into the AI stuff. This is the experience that I crave. When I'm trying to get something to production, when the leadership comes to me and says, hey, we've got to have this new app. We got to, compete, with the guys down the street. We got to compete with them. We got to get this app, and it's got to be out today. I don't know if you guys remember 2020. 2020 was a weird year. We had the COVID, and one of our customers, the CDC, said, hey, you're in this space. You've got to deliver this information, and it's got to be done by Tuesday. Right? Most of the company was like, oh, Tuesday? It's Thursday. How are we going to get the VMs? How are we going to get the infrastructure? And there was definitely competing platforms inside of the company, right? There was the, hey, self-service deployment VMs, and we'll take care of it, and we have all your stuff. There was another group that had Kubernetes that was doing their thing. But the bottom line was on a Thursday, they said, we have to deliver this by Tuesday. There was only one platform that was going to make that happen. Of all the things that were chose in that organization, there was only one that was going to make it happen by Tuesday. And it was Tanzu Platform. That was the only way that they were going to get there, to check all the things, because it was as easy as creating a new org, creating a new space, having those credentials. The platform takes care of everything else. The cert registration, the routing, the scaling. COVID, again, was interesting times. We had to make sure they would stay up and they would scale to meet demand. And yeah, and we're happy about that. So we're live, we're ready. This is running in production. Did you check it? Did you hit it? And it's up and running, right? So this is awesome. Let's go back. Here. Sorry, I need new glasses. But I can do things here. Let's go back to our settings. I can add metadata. I can share this information. I'm going to go, I want to go here, settings. I can see my security groups. I want it to go here. I can also set routes. I don't want this route there. Delete. I can change the routes. So I can change how this is being routed. I get all of that flexibility. I get that configuration here. Again, no tickets. The amount of power that I have as a developer, in this case, this developer has the ability to change routes. And as a platform operator, you can decide which knobs. You can decide if you want to give them just view access, you want to give them access to create routes, to create services. This is another wonderful thing. So the first thing that we did was CF build packs. I get to see, I can choose, right? Clearly here, it says I can't deploy COBOL, right? COBOL is not on the list of build packs yet, okay? But I've limited, the number of decisions that I have to make. I've got build packs that'll take care of this. I'm going to say one more thing about build packs. Let's say a new CVE comes out. The platform gets updated build packs. In order to redeploy all of the apps, in order to patch all those apps, there's a function called restage. Hello. -H. I can restage an app. And when I restage the app, it's not just restarting it. It's restaging it. It's grabbing the latest build pack and it's packaging it with the latest build pack that has all the patches available. So let's just say you're a company that has 400,000 AIs, 400,000 applications running on Cloud Foundry. And let's just say that there's a new CVE that comes out and it's got a high score, like an 8 or 10. How long does that take you to repatch all the apps that are in your infrastructure? If you're doing Docker files, you've got to go in, do the base image, redo it, because you can't replace that base image. You've got to go and rebuild all those apps. And then you got to redeploy them. With Tanzu Platform and build packs, I can do a CF restage. And it'll restage, it'll rebuild that app with the latest build pack that's being provided by the platform. So think about that for a minute. I don't have to do it on every instance either. I do it by the name, CF restage. And if there was a new build pack, it's going to go and use that new build pack. So for the 4,000 instances for all the platforms, just go and restage them. That's nice. So that's the app side. But actually on Tanzu Platform, again, I kind of straddle that operator developer experience. On the platform, I can do the exact same thing. So the platform, whether it's an appliance or whether it's a bunch of VMs that are deployed into whichever cloud you want, VCF, Amazon, Google, Azure, I can repave my platform. I can take all of those VMs and say, delete it. And it'll rebuild it. It'll rebuild in place that same VM. So I can repave all of my infrastructure. Imagine that for a security posture. I can say, hey, every 24 hours or every week, delete everything. There's a metric that you can think about. Average VM age. How long are the VMs that are running in your infrastructure, how long have they been running? Think about it for just a minute. How long do you want them running? If a bad actor is sitting on one of those VMs, how long do you want to let them sit there? The power of the repave is two things, twofold. It's the practice for if something goes wrong, my platform is going to repair itself. I can bring it back up because I'm practicing that muscle. If I'm repaving every week or even every day, if a bad actor finds their way onto one of those VMs, good luck. Because they only have a limited amount of time before that gets repaved. And when it gets repaved, what else happens? Remember, our platform is taking care of the credentials. So they got to go and figure out all new ways of getting in. Right? We know the attack surface. We know how bad actors are getting in. And it's definitely not into infrastructure that's being repaved every day. It's not a target that's worth investing in when you're repaving all the time.
And that's not a theory. I mean, some of our largest customers, banking institutions that do repave every 2 weeks or every month, right? Like everything. If
I can give you one takeaway today, I want you to go and look at how old your VMs are. Again, as a practice, when I go out, it's a funny story, but then kind of not so funny. We found a VM that was 10 years old. It had an uptime of 10 years because of the power of VMware. It was able to kind of move it over. It's going to move it over here, and it stayed up. The uptime was 10 years. Think about that. That's not great, right? But in that same company, other division where they're doing the repaving, their average VM age was like 1.8 days. Because it wasn't just that they were repaving it, they were taking updates for all the components. When a new Postgres updates come in, a new MySQL update comes in, Because that's part of the platform says, oh, you've got a bunch of Postgres databases. Let me go and patch them for you. As the platform gets updated, the platform is also taking care of the lifecycle management for all of the services that it's deploying. There's my transition to services. What's on the menu? Let's go back here. We have this marketplace. Marketplace. The idea that here's what's on the menu. These are the things that are supported, approved on my way to production. And I also get it as self-service. How long does it take you? Actually, I'll ask this way. How many people can get a new Postgres database in a month? Could you get it? We have one hand, two hands. It takes longer than that? Less than. It depends on what platform. Could you do it in a week? Could you get a new database stood up in a week? Yes. Yes, yes. How about in a day? Currently, okay, we have a couple hands. We have good practice. Yes, sir, in the back, I've never met. Do you have a question?
Credentials for the dev, UAT staging, having available to the app teams, and how are you thinking how's all that working as well?
Since the platform takes care of my credentials, when the databases are getting updated, the platform is also handling that. So in the case of a leader-follower pair, this is the fun example. I can deploy databases. I can have a plan set up in my databases. Let's take a look. Let's go down here, and I've got Postgres. I can do a Postgres on demand. I can set up these different plans. I can have a small, medium, large. I can also set up different configurations, like an HA configuration or a leader-follower pair. Let's talk about a leader-follower pair. Those credentials are being handled by the platform. It deploys. The platform knows that there's a leader and a follower. So my app is going to connect to the leader. The platform says, hey, here's a leader, connect here. If that leader goes away, if it's being updated, the platform says, oh, okay, let's make the follower now the new leader. And the platform tells the apps, we don't want you to bind to that previous version. We want you to bind to this one now. And the platform handles the credential rotation. It says, hey, change the property. It updates the app, says, hey, here's your new credentials. Here's your new URL. So I can update. And then as that leader was getting updated, hey, now it's the follower. And now I can update the current leader. And the platform takes care of it. So even in a MySQL or a Postgres, I see a hand up here. Yeah, ask a question. This setup runs on VCF, but it doesn't need VCF. It integrates really well with VCF, but you can run it on just vSphere. You can also run it in Amazon, Google, Azure. Yeah. And we have a quick start. If you want to take this for a spin, we have a quick start, and I've done it, again, my little one box, from opening the box that I got from Amazon, installing ESX, and running the quick start. It takes about 3 hours to download all of the images that are needed. And it takes about, I think it's like 15 things that you have to configure, like your VNet, your user password for that vSphere setup, which resource groups, just a handful of properties, and it'll get you up and running with the Tanzu platform to take for a spin. So there is some overhead, right? You still have to plan where you're going to deploy it, which region you're going to deploy it to, which AZ. But we've given you an easy button, I like to call it. We've given you an easy button. If you'd like to take it for a spin, just say so.
We'll have a URL for you here at the end.
Fantastic. So thank you for the question in the back. The platform takes care of it. If you're not at that PaaS level, if you're deploying just a VKS, if you're deploying services, how are you handling those credentials? How are you updating the app teams? How are the app teams going to know when you're going to restart or update your services? Right? In that leader-follower example, there might be a downtime of about 3 to 5 seconds. When that app switches over, it says, hey, my leader is gone because it's getting updated and it switches over. There might be a gap of 3 to 5 seconds as an example. But if I want to take care of that, if I'm connected to something like a fetal heart rate monitor and I don't want to miss any information, I can't be down for 3 seconds, what do? Well, I've got other things on the menu that can help me with that. I'm going to go back here. I've got RabbitMQ as an example. RabbitMQ can be clustered. And if I'm updating MySQL, RabbitMQ, having multiple instances, I can do that same thing, but RabbitMQ won't miss any of those writes. It has a different pattern. So I can put something like a RabbitMQ or a Gemfire in front that's going to be on a different update schedule, so I don't miss any writes, and I can do a write behind pattern. But just by putting these tools on the menu, I'm giving my developers access to these patterns. I've been developing since the 90s, right? Back in the 90s, we didn't have all the cool caching layers. We didn't have the memory cache and the val keys and the Gemfires. We didn't have all that. We didn't have access. In our company, typically, we had Oracle. We had Postgres, maybe a MySQL here or there. And because we didn't have all the other things, we had to build our own queues. We had to build our own data replication. We did a lot of really nasty things with relational databases because that's the only thing that was on the menu. The power of being on a PaaS is I can put supported things on the menu. I can give developers these supported tools so that they can build the infrastructure and the architectures that matter for workloads like finance and high-speed trading and healthcare and fetal heart rate monitors. Right? That's the power of the PaaS. That's why developers love this platform, is because I can get a set. Question in the back. Fantastic question. Where are these services coming from? Well, as the platform, we've got a bunch of services that you can deploy. You can decide what you want to put on your platform, and we've got what we call tiles. So these are the infrastructure. These are systems that will deploy, and they are code. And then once you've deployed the tile, then you've given your apps, you've given your teams the ability. You've got configurations, and you can decide which plans you want to make available. But then your teams, your developers have the ability to go in and create their own instances of that. So if I go here to Marketplace.
These are tiles that we maintain, and then also tiles that third parties build and maintain as part of the platform and certify?
Yeah. Yes. Fantastic question. Can you pull this down to an air-gapped environment? Yes, you can. Tanzu Platform is designed to be in air-gapped environments. And it's also, I heard yesterday, like 98% of the configurations, what's the word I'm looking for? The controls that you're looking for come out of the box. And we can handle controls for things like FedRAMP, NIST, FIPS. That can all be handled in the platform, and that can live in these air-gapped environments. Fantastic question. As a developer, I want to create something new. Yes? Yep. Yep, I've shown the user interface. Thank you. I've shown the user interface on the command line. I've got a CF CLI, and I've also got a UI. So as a developer, until I get to prod, I don't want the developers creating things in production. So in our production foundation, in our production orgs and spaces, I don't have to give that credentials away. I don't have to do that. I can still have the same benefits of here's what I want, the platform taking care of everything, but I can do a GitOps model. I can do it with the CF CLI as a part of my pipelines, or there's also an API. There's a REST API for the platform. So yeah, you have all the benefits. Yes, you in the back. This is a multi-tenant system, and this is hard tenancy. Unlike what you get, because it's VMs under the covers, unlike what you get in a namespace Kubernetes tenancy, which we call a soft tenancy, the lines between your apps are harder. They're VMs, not just containers and Kubernetes namespaces. Fantastic question. So I was going to say, hey, let's go create a database. Let's do an on-demand. We're going to do the regular one and build it. I see your hand. I'm going to give it a name, demo DB. This is how hard it is to create any one of the services on the platform, because the plans have been specified. The app teams can go and decide, and before they get to production, they can decide which ones they want. They don't have to make a bet that this is going to be the right database, that this is going to be the right architecture. They can change it. This is self-service. So before you get to production, before you're investing heavily into a pattern or an architecture, you can practice. It's self-service. So you get those benefits.
And even models, right? Exact same experience. Whether it's a model that's going to be run on platform, locally, or a foundation model, right? Connecting, outside, just another set of services that can be.
What's happening under the covers? The VMs are getting deployed. The credentials are getting created. The platform is taking care of it. It's being assigned to me, to my org, to my space, so that that's the only application set that can connect to it. All the guardrails are being put in place. But the same thing, let's jump over to AI, right? This week, one of the most popular topics is, yeah, we've got Copilot. We can do AI in our IDE, and they're helping us, develop code or optimize code or refactor code. Like, that's fantastic. But we can't do the things that our leadership and our customers want. We can't go to production with an AI use case because we're not allowed to deploy or to use the public LLMs. We're not allowed to use the Bedrocks or the OpenAIs because our company doesn't want our information training somebody else's LLM. And this is the big deal. This is, if you're a developer and you're excited about doing AI workloads, you can do the same thing here on platform. I can say, hey, I want to go to my app. Actually, let's go look at Cora's. My teammate. Whoops, back here. Cora, just like I created a database, Cora created a handful. And for her app, she created Qwen 3 model. She deployed it. It's being deployed on platform. It's got all the rules. This is the Gen AI tile, just like we did for Postgres databases, we can do for LLMs. The Gen AI tile on Tanzu Platform allows us to deploy models locally. So I can pull those models off the shelf, like GPT-OSS, like Llama 4, like Qwen Coder. I can pull those models, I can deploy them on my own infrastructure in our data center. But I can also use external models. I can connect to Bedrocks. I can connect to OpenAI. Thanks. So that's the benefit of having this AI capability on the platform. It's all that information stays in-house. And that allows me to connect to that database that I just did. And I can start doing those agentic RAG type workflows with my apps. And it's all in the platform. Fantastic.
I think I'm going to flash the starter kit just to make sure they can get.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. We're running out of time. Thank you guys so much. This is...
I'm going to grab that QR code. That'll take you to
this starter
that
kit.
installer.
This is the installer. Grab it, and it's free. This is your chance. This gives you Tanzu Platform with the Gen AI tile, so you can stand up these models, and it gives you some database options as well, so you can deploy these 2025 agentic RAG workflows.
I'll let sample codes in there.
My name is Deshaun. I'm a Spring Developer Advocate. I love my job. And if you want to do this, if you want to take this for a spin, call me. I'm happy to help. I'm doing this at home. It's really easy. What you've got to do is just carve off a little space. If you'd like access to the appliance that, I don't know if it's on board, if you'd like access to the appliance, I haven't taken that for a spin yet, but I'm happy to help you. It's a fun time. It's a great time to be a Spring developer. And the last thing I'll say is, yeah, I'm not even going to say, do you have anything else to wrap up? This is awesome.
I'm good.
Everybody, thank you so much for your time. I hope you enjoy the rest of Explore. And yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for joining us this morning.